this is the most natural thing I'm gonna... All right.
So one of my filmmaking friends likes to go out in the woods and vlog, and I've been really inspired by that. So I wanted to do the same exact thing today. So let's talk about the 3 things that I wish I learned in film school. Let's get cracking. So before I go into any of this, I just want to say that this is not any disrespect to my professors. I love them to death. But this is kind of things that I wish I learned in film school at the start of it, I guess. So the first part is cameras. Anything about cameras. The f-stop, the aperture, and the shutter speed all matter in terms of filmmaking. And I wish I knew how to apply these in all the scenarios that I was in. It took me until my first feature that I've ever made to really utilize these aspects. We shot on the Sony FS7s and the FS5s. Those were what were available to us at school, which are great cameras. They're beautiful cameras, but I wish we learned what Blackmagics or Reds or Canon cameras. I wish we had the capability of utilizing these cameras and utilizing them in different scenarios. Same as full frame sensors or crop sensors. This camera is a crop sensor cinema camera. Typically sensors matter in low light scenarios. If we were shooting in a lot of low light settings, a full frame camera sensor is the best to go with versus a crop sensor. Crop sensors are smaller. They're both great cameras, but I wish I had the capability in my classes to learn why these things matter. The f-stop matters in a bunch of scenarios. If the f-stop is lower, then I have a further depth of field versus if the f-stop is higher, then my depth of field isn't so shallow. Shutter speed. When you're shooting at 24 frames per second, typically you want your shutter speed to be 1/48. Because the frame of motion is a lot different. Versus if you're shooting 60 frames per second, you want your shutter speed to be about 80. Or 100 essentially, because your frame of your motion isn't so blurred. And it makes slowing those frames down, especially if you're shooting at 60 frames per second, feel nicer and smoother when you're slowing those frames down. ISO. ISO is incredibly important. ISO is the noise of the image. For cinema cameras, specifically my cinema camera, the FX30, the ISO there's 2 base ISOs for that camera. There's 800 and then 2500. I can stay at that ISO and have no noise within my image. That's crazy. I wish I knew that. I wish I knew that I could have cameras that had different states of ISO. So, some full frame cameras like the FX3 has a base ISO of 3200. Or no, actually it's 12,000. 12,000 is the base ISO. Those are crazy low light scenarios that I could put my camera in. The next thing I wish I learned was how to shoot on film celluloid. Now you might be thinking, Autumn, that is incredibly expensive. What are you talking about? Well, yes, it is incredibly expensive, but why offer a 35mm film class for your photography students when you can't also offer a film celluloid class for your film students? I just think that shooting on actual cinema celluloid would have given me a decent understanding of different types of filmmaking instead of shooting digital. I would love to learn how to shoot on film and why that matters and why takes matter and why the editing process is so difficult because you're actually physically cutting the film strips. And I understand that I got my degree at a school in southern Missouri, so the funding might not be there, but I wish I had that opportunity to do that. And the last part is confidence. I wish I had the confidence to join a bunch of film sets Undergrad was such a weird time in my life. I felt like I had imposter syndrome all the time. When I was able to build up the confidence to be on a film set, I was still really nervous to ask, hey, is it okay if I look through the camera? Hey, is it okay if I press record on the camera? There was just times where I wish I had the confidence to join those sets whenever people were looking for crew. You know, being a PA is not bad. When I was a senior, COVID happened, so I didn't get to make my senior thesis film. And so when I graduated film school, I felt like I had nothing. My advice to you, if you're watching this right now, is to have the confidence. If you don't have the confidence right now, that's okay. Just build that in and then do it. The only way to learn is just to do it. I hope you enjoyed my little travels today out in nature at Ha Ha Tonka. That's where we're at today. I didn't say that in the first part of the video, but we're at Ha Ha Tonka, a natural state park in Missouri. And so, yeah, I hope this was informative either to you or to me. I don't know. Thank you for watching and take care.
Hello.